Hi, this is Brad, and this is another Blender tutorial from Dragonfire 360 Productions, and I'm going to show you today how to do this effect here that Tom Walks did with, he did the pin art, and we're going to be taking this green screen image here, and I'm going to show you how to key out the background, the green, and then render it to a movie file that we can use as a texture to control the pins on this pin art board. Okay, and if you haven't seen Tom Walk's video, I suggest you watch it. It's much better than my video here. I'm just showing you a quick way how to do it. He gave a description on his YouTube channel of how he did it, but he didn't make a video tutorial. I thought for many of you would like a video tutorial on how to do it, so I'm just doing it the way he said he did it. The green screen footage here that we're going to be using is going to be found. You can find it here at this website and download it. It's hollywoodcamerawork.us and then /trackingplates.html. And if you scroll down, you'll see several different things. I didn't use any of those. If you go to where it says more downloads, green screen plates, click on that. Okay, so this is the web address I should have gave you. But if you scroll down, you'll see several of them, and you can use any of them you want. But I used this video right here, hair detail. So go ahead and download that, and you'll be all set to finish out this tutorial. I'm going to provide a link in the description for this, as well as Tom Walk's video, and anything else that I can think of. If you're watching it on YouTube, you'll be able to see the links for these to where to get these other downloads. So let's go ahead and get started in the tutorial. Okay, let's get started here. Let's open up Blender, and you can go ahead and delete the default cube. And what we're going to do first is go up here and change this to compositing. I'm going to select use nodes. Go ahead and select that. Hit X, delete that. Let's move this composite node over there. Shift A, and we're going to add an input movie clip. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open up that movie clip I showed earlier. And that is right here. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and open up a viewer node. Turn on screencast keys, so you see them down here. And okay, now what we want to do is we want to do some keying and get rid of that green background from the green screen. And the way we do that is go ahead and go Shift A and go down to matte and chroma key. It's really pretty simple. Let's see. Okay, now you can already see it's starting to cut off some right there. But all we gotta do is select this thing right here and go up here and select the eyedropper and select the green. And that pretty much gets rid of it. But just to be certain, let me use the backdrop here. Go ahead and hit F12 to render once, and then that renders a single frame. And now it's showing green, but that's we're going to take care of that. Let's turn the acceptance up to all the way up and turn the gain all the way down. Turn the cutoff up to 30% as well. And now we're going to add, let's see, the matte. See here, just to show you what the matte looks like down there. We've got to add a mix node. That's what it is. I was trying to think. I'm a little tired. Been up all night. Okay, color mix. Let's go ahead and add this mix node. Let's put the matte on top and the matte on the second one, and then the bottom one will be the image. So just in case you can't see that, let me cut this. There you go. So now we got image going clear to the bottom. Matte is going to the first two. So matte will affect the factor and image number 1. And then this is the end result right there. Now, that cuts out most of the green. It's not, you know, we would want to blur this to if we were going to do it on something you're going to see. But since we're going to do pin art, it doesn't matter about the rough edges. We don't have to worry about that. Okay, now we could add an RGB curve. Let's see, to the final output, and turn this all the way up. That way we can make it some brighter. Maybe not all the way up, but somewhere in there. Make it a bit brighter. Okay, just like that. And that's all we need to do. Now all we got to do is go back to default. This is 80 frames long, so go ahead and set that to 80. And then just make sure you set your output over here to AVI JPEG. You could do that because this is pretty short and it goes pretty fast. Set your outgoing directory. I don't need to do all that because I've already done it, and I will show you the end result. But that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at the compositing one more time. So all you're doing is adding chroma key and a mix node, and make sure you got your matte on the first two and the image on the bottom one, and then add an RGB curves, and make sure you got the C selected there so you can brighten up the image, and make sure that's going to the compositor, not just the viewer node, or otherwise when you render it out it won't do anything. Okay, and that settles it for this part. Keying out the green screen and brightening up the image for what we need. And now we'll move on to the next part. Alright, now we'll just open up Blender again. Start with the default scene here. Just go ahead and delete that cube. And what we're going to do is line up our camera here. Okay, and we'll go ahead and hide the camera for now. And first thing we'll do is we're going to model our pins. So we'll add a cylinder and take this down to 10. I think that's what I used last time. And the fill type we will set to triangle fan, and that should do it. Now when we tab into edit mode, we should be able to grab that top vertex, or vertex I should say, and let's go ahead and go into orthographic view and just pull that up just like, actually let's not do that yet. Let's size the whole thing first, because otherwise I'm just going to have to redo that. So back into object mode, we'll size the whole thing. Hit Shift and Z to so we won't size it on the Z axis when we size it down, something like that. And then now we'll just hit Z to size it up on the Z axis. And I don't know, somewhere around like that. That might be a bit long. Let's go ahead and size it down just a bit. Maybe a little bit more. Something like that. Okay, now in front view, go ahead and rotate 90 on the x-axis. So that way it looks like that. And then now we can go ahead and, well, let's go ahead and add a plane now. So let's go ahead and move this to another layer. Move it to the second layer there. And then now we're just going to add a plane. Rotate 90 on the X. And size it up. Go into camera view so we can size it up to about somewhere in there. Size it on the X. Somewhere in there. And now tab into edit mode, and what we want to do is subdivide this. So just hit subdivide, and then number of cuts, go all the way up to 10, and then hit subdivide again. And that might do it right there, 2 cuts. Let's do that for now. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this pin, now shift select this other layer, so that way we have both selected. Take the pin and set to smooth shading, and yeah, that pin is way too big. So let's size it now on the y-axis. Size it down. And size it again and shift Y. So we can size it on all the other axes. Get it somewhat proportional. Now if we tab. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set this pin that we just modeled. There's going to be a pin on each one of these vertices. And the way you do that, very simply, and I'll show you why we put these on separate layers here in a minute. It'll speed up the process here. With the plane selected, make sure you go to your object, I believe it's object data tab, and go down to duplications, there it is, and go to verts. Now when we parent this to the plane by shift selecting, select the pin first and then shift select the plane, Control P, and now we've got a bunch of them. It's as simple. Okay, now what we want to do is we may have to subdivide this one more time on the plane. So with the plane selected, tab, well, first of all, if we just select this, you'll see it moves a lot faster. But if we have both layers selected, there's some lag. Okay, and that's why you put it on separate layers, because when you only have the one to work with, it speeds things up. Okay, so now we can tab back into edit mode and hit subdivide one more time, and that ought to be enough. I hope it's not too much, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of lag on that. but that should give us good resolution. All right, now let's go ahead and set up our world environment a bit, just real quickly. Just turn on environment lighting and set this to a 0.6. And then I've already got a lamp on the scene, so just turn it into a sun lamp, and it can be an energy of 1, that's fine. And then just go to side view and rotate the lamp. That way it'll be more toward the plane. And then go to front view again, and it's good to have some angles on it, but we don't need that dramatic of an angle. Almost straight up and down is pretty decent, but okay, that'll work. Now, let's give the plane a material real quick. Make it just a little bit darker. And then the pin, if we go to that layer as well, select the pin and give it a material and make it quite a bit darker. That way it'll show up better when it renders. And now, let's hit 1. Let's go to camera view. Let's go ahead and hit F12 to see how it renders. And there you go. Looks a little strange. I think some of the pins are overlapping on each other. Okay, let's get out of that. Okay, it looks like everything's centered. Select the plane. Let's go to wireframe. Yeah, the plane's right in the center. That's right where we want. Want to make sure that the pin that you parent is right in the center of the plane. Okay. Now, what do we want to do? Let's go ahead and add a texture. Let's select the pin, the cylinder here. Add a texture. And what we're going to do is we're going to add that movie that we rendered out earlier. This thing's taking forever. Okay, and we're going to disable it here. We don't want it to affect the texture of the pin at all. We're actually just using this as a displacement texture. So go to Image or Movie. In fact, we can name this. Oops, what happened? Name this Displace. Or DISP. I don't know why it went all capitals on me, except for the first letter. Let's do that again. DISP. All right. And for now, I'm going to take off that one layer. Only go to the first layer. That way everything will speed up a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and go to Open. I've already got it rendered out, and this should be it right here. Yes. Okay, so that's the image, the movie file that we rendered earlier. Okay, and let's go ahead and hit the match movie length, and it'll set it to 80 frames because that's how long it is. And now we want to adjust the colors here. The color ramp, we want to leave everything alone here, but turn the saturation all the way down. That way it'll turn to a black and white image. And then we also want to adjust these. I know it's black and white, but adjusting these, this one to a 0.4 and 0.5 and 0.5. I played around with these values, and that's what seemed to work best. That's why I know what to set them. You just have to play around with them to get things adjusted right. That way the colors, because the colors are going to affect the, or the light and dark areas are going to affect the displacement on this plane here. So now we go select the plane, and we're going to add a modifier, and the modifier we're going to add is a displace modifier. There it is. And we're going to go ahead and select our displace texture. And as you can see, it's already, you can see an image of a woman's face. Now, one thing I didn't do, let's go ahead and smooth this out a bit. I could have UV unwrapped this, but it's not really necessary. So I think I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to bother. But if you UV unwrap it, you can adjust it in the where the image is located on this plane. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Let's go ahead and go to UV and tab into edit mode, and then press U for unwrap, and then project from view. And then let's go ahead and select that that movie texture there. Okay, so we can see how it's affected here. Let's go ahead and size this up. And size it on the, let's see, y-axis. Okay, now the image where, like I say, if you hit G to grab, you can move this, you can make it appear, the image appear wherever you place this. This plane will be, we're going to put it right over about the center of the image. That way the image will be right in the center. Okay, now we can go back to our default setting, our screen, and tab out of edit mode. And you can see where it is. Now, if I would have moved the image over, well, you get the point. Okay, now, let's make sure, let's set this to UV. Okay, and you can see the difference there. But I'm actually going to leave this at local. I'm fine with it being local. But if you want to UV unwrap it, you got your choice there. Let's go ahead and set this to 0. We want to make mid-level 0. Strength can be 1 or maybe slightly above, maybe 1.1. I think that's what I had it before. You can see the displacement there. It's looking pretty good. And it's really as simple as that. Now go ahead and set this to 80 frames down here because we want to match our movie. So now if you scroll through, you can see the displacement follows the movie. Okay, so scrubbing through the timeline. Oh. Okay. You might want to not hit play because if you're depending on your system, it might crash. So just scrub through with the arrow buttons, or the arrow keys, or the mouse, or something. Okay, now, well, I think we're pretty much set. Let's go ahead and get our camera view there, and make sure you shift select this other layer. That way you have both set. Go ahead and hit F12 to render, and you should get something like this. Let it render out. And that's really all there is to it. I mean, you may have to make some adjustments on your displace modifier, and adjust the colors or the brightness levels and things like that to even it out a bit. This looks a little different than my first test render, just slightly different. And well, for one thing, these pins are all kind of overlapping each other. So to fix that, we can just select the cylinders, which is the pin we modeled. Selecting that, and then let's go ahead and get a little closer, and then size it by hitting S, and then hit Shift Y so it don't size on the Y axis. There, we can size it down a little bit, and that might look better. A little bit smaller, but so there's a little bit more gap in them, between them. Now, if you add another texture to the pins themselves, make them metallic looking, add some mirror reflections, just so it makes them look more realistic. But I'm not going to do that in this tutorial. This isn't a texturing tutorial. I'm just showing you how to do some simple fun thing that Tom Walks did in his video. He explained how to do it in the description, but I thought, well, a video tutorial might be better for people that don't know how to do it. And as you can see, that caused some artifacts here in the center. But if we look at it from some angles, let's go ahead and escape out of there and kind of pan over. There you can see the displacement there. And then we can just set our camera view there. Oh, way too big. Oh, I'm in orthographic view, that's why. It does zoom out a bit. Oh, what happened? That's too far. There's a lot of lag on this thing when you got that many vertices. And then I'm also doing the screen capture, so makes my system lag. Okay. You get the point. And that's pretty much all there is for this tutorial. So hope you liked it, and happy blendering.